Hello and welcome to my first rambling video. I want to talk about words today and how important words are. This all came up the other day. Living in the Philippines, you may not. They do not have abortion. Abortion is not legal here, and they also do not have the death penalty. It's because they're strong Catholic influence, and it says right there, "Thou shalt not kill." Right, so that's their story, and they're sticking to it. But it made me realize something that I know about. Um, that word "kill" is that the right word? First, before I get into all that, this is a ramble, so I'm going to go on about it a little bit. So the idea is words are important. Precise words are precisely important, right? If I was to tell you to do something that could be important, like how about this, killing someone or not killing someone, that could be important, especially if the state does it, right? That could be important. So we need to know, especially if you're a person that wants to base your government or your life on the Bible, right? So we need to know what it really says, right? So the idea between killing and murder are two different things, right? Those are not the same word. Obviously, when you murder someone, you do kill them. But when you kill someone, you might not murder them because murder is the taking of an innocent life. It's a different thing, right? So, for example, the example that I use, it's pretty clear cut. If someone breaks into your house with a weapon and they are evil intent, right? And they threaten to kill your family and you have a gun and you shoot them and they die. They threaten to murder your family, see? They threaten to murder them because your family's innocent of anything against them. And then you kill them. That's not the same as murder, right? If you're, yeah, so it reminds me that just before so this is why it's a ramble, right? So there's two really good movies. One's called Sergeant York and the other's called Hacksaw Ridge, right? Both movies about very strong Christian men who make stance against carrying a weapon or firing a weapon or killing anyone, even at wartime, right? So Sergeant York, World War One. It's that's Gary Cooper. Excellent movie, you know. So here's this guy, hillbilly, right? Lives in the hills, and he's just a Yahoo, right? He's out drinking and carrying on, and just trouble. And so he gets radically saved and gets drafted into World War One. And he goes in as a conscientious objector. I'm not going to carry a gun. I ain't gonna study war no more, right? So he goes in and um, in the heat of battle, when he sees his friends getting killed, he something inside him lights up, right? And he goes and picks up a weapon and he basically takes out a bunch of Germans, takes out this hill. I think it was a machine gun or something, and saves hundreds of lives. And winds up winning. I think it was the Medal of Honor, the Medal of Valor, so one of those. So that was his. That's what happened to him. So loved God, wanted to honor God, but at the end of the day, he killed people. I don't think he murdered them. And then there's the other one, Hacksaw Ridge, which is same kind of story. The guy did, because of a shooting accident when he was a child. Part of it, and the other part of it, he was also became a very strong Christian, but he swore he would never carry a gun, never use a gun, because of a horrible thing that happened when he was young. And so this is World War II, and this is in the Japanese theater, right? It's in the I forgot what island it was, but Hacksaw Ridge is this place they went to, and he was a medic. And the whole time people are, oh, you're a coward. They just gave him a hard time, and he didn't care. He just said, well, this is my faith. I believe that God doesn't want me to kill. So what happened to him in the heat of battle was he got filled with the fire, but instead of killing people, he was dragging people off the hill. I don't know how many people he drug off the hill. True story. He even went down into their like foxholes, and they had these tunnels, and he was pulling people out of there. And I'm tell you what, those people that were giving him a hard time, they loved that guy, and they went back and found his Bible, and they said your faith is real, right? So those are two random thoughts that come up that I can go ahead and talk about. Um, Two different ways of looking at the same thing with the same idea that both people want to honor God and they love God. But let's go back and look at this just for a minute now. I want to explain something that I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds on this, but there are a couple different translations, as you know, the modern versions of the Bible. And I'm a big fan of what's called the Textus Receptus and the Masoretic text. So the Masoretic text is a Hebrew text, which obviously the Old Testament's in Hebrew and the New Testament's in Greek. We do have an Old Testament Greek text. We're not going to talk about that today. I'm not a big fan of that, but I know a lot of scholars are, and we're not going to get into those weeds right now. But what I do want to talk about is this word, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not murder. So first I'm going to look at different versions. So the King James, which I'm sad to say, the King James comes from the one I like. It's the Textus Receptus Masoretic text. But most of the Old Testaments all come from the same text. There's very few. I think maybe the ESV. I'd have to go look it up. I'm not well studied in that because I don't really prefer it, so I don't study it. It might come from another text, which is actually a Greek Old Testament. So it's like a, what do you call it? So it's already been translated. So translations, you lose something in the translation. Yes, you lose something when you go from Hebrew to Greek. That's for sure. So let's just look at this word though and see what we got here. So the King James says, "Thou shalt not kill." So that means that you can't kill anybody ever if you're a Christian, if you want to follow the Ten Commandments. So let's go to some other very popular. The NIV is the number one Bible in the world. So a lot of people read the NIV. It's a very popular book. So let's see what they say in there. Thou shalt not murder. Okay, so let's go to, since we're in the ands, let's go to the one I usually read, the New King James. See what it says. Let's look it up. Thou shalt not murder. So let's go to another one that some people think this is the very, very, very best version of the Bible you can get. It's called the ESV, the English Standard Version. I'm not one of those people that say that, but a lot of people say that. People that I know and love and respect. And let's see what it says. Thou shalt not murder. Okay, so let's try the what else we got? NIV, ESV, NASB, another one that people love. It's supposed to be more precise, more word for word. It's supposed to be from the text I like. However, they have removed a lot of those verses that I do not think ever should have been removed. And that's it. It's another issue. That's why I call them the lesser Bibles, the lesser text. But we're not going to talk about that today. We'll talk about that another day, maybe. So let's see what the NASB has to say. And it says, "Thou shalt not murder." And then one more, my go-to, besides the New King James and King James, is called the Young's Literal Translation. So kind of hard to read because it's literally the words, and the order's whacked when you read that. You want to read this, it sounds like you're reading Yoda or something, the way that it reads, because English is probably backwards from all the other languages. So let's see what this one says. The literal translation. It says, "Thou shalt not murder." So there you go.